Hi everyone, welcome to Curious Minds Academy. Today we are going to revise the entire Ethics for Organizations chapter. And what all have we learned in Ethics for Organization? The first concept that we have learned is FCPA Act, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977, and this act was introduced by the US government. It is one of the Anti-Bribery Act as well. And what all have we learned under the concept FCPA? The crux of FCPA is it has got two provisions. The first provision is accounting provision and the second provision is anti-bribery provision. The accounting provision is further classified into two: books and records and internal control. We need to maintain complete, accurate and reliable accounting records. And what does the internal control say? The internal control has got 4 points, out of which the first 2 points related to the transaction and the last 2 points is relating to the assets. The first 2 points relating to transaction is transaction must be recorded so as to facilitate the preparation of financial statement. The second point relating to transaction is the transaction should be subjected to management authorization. The last 2 points relating to asset is access to asset should be limited to management authorization, and the last point relating to asset is the asset actual balance, that is the physical balance of the asset, should be compared with the balance as per the record so that any variance can be inquired into. So these are the 4 points that we have studied under the topic internal control, and we have completed the accounting provision. Now we move on to the anti-bribery provision. And what does the anti-bribery provision say? No person shall make any payment. Okay, no person shall make any payment or offer any payment to these three parties. Which are the three parties? To any foreign official. Here the term foreign official meaning foreign government official. To any foreign political party or candidate of a political office in a foreign country for the purpose of obtaining or retaining business. The FCPA states that if for the purpose of obtaining or retaining business, if any payment has been made to these three parties, then that act shall be punishable under the provisions of FCPA. And the punishment of FCPA involves fine or imprisonment, or both fine and imprisonment. And this is what we have learned under the provisions of FCPA. And one more thing I need to tell you is compliance of accounting provisions of FCPA is not mandatorily applicable for private companies. So this is what we have learned under FCPA, and there is one exception to the FCPA, and that is called facilitation payment. And what do you mean by facilitation payment? Facilitation payment means those payment which has been made to any government official for the purpose of expediting the routine governmental transaction, for speeding up the routine governmental transaction. If any payment has been made to any foreign government official, then that is called facilitation payment, and this is exempted under the provisions of FCPA. Even if we make any payment to any foreign government official for the purpose of speeding up the routine governmental transaction, then such an action is not punishable under the FCPA, and this is why it has been given under the exception. The last topic remaining to be discussed under the topic of FCPA is applicability of FCPA. Issuers of publicly traded securities and their officers, directors, employees, etc. Issuers of publicly traded securities mean public company. Domestic concerns and their officers, directors, employees, agents and shareholders, like that. Domestic concern meaning sole proprietorship included, private companies included, and other establishment also included. It also applies to foreign nationals if those foreign nationals come within the territory of United States and then they execute the bribery transaction. So if the bribery transaction has been executed by the foreign nationals within the United States territory, then FCPA provisions will be applicable to foreign nationals also. And this is what applicability of FCPA means. And that's all regarding the provisions of FCPA, now we move on to the UKBA, that is UK Bribery Act of 2010. As compared to FCPA, UKBA is relatively a new act. Since FCPA was introduced in the year 1977, UKBA was introduced in the year 2010 by the United Kingdom government. What is the essence of UKBA? The UKBA recognizes 4 offences. The first offence is giving an advantage. Not only giving an advantage is prohibited, but also offering or promising to give an advantage is also prohibited. The second offence is accepting an advantage. Not only accepting an advantage is prohibited, but agreeing to receive an advantage is also prohibited. The third one is bribery of a foreign government official, and this is where both the UKBA and the FCPA come together. The third one is bribing a foreign government official is prohibited. This is the third offense under UKBA. And the fourth one is, this is my favorite one, failure on the part of the organization to prevent bribe being paid. Not only the employee will be punished, but also the organization for whom he is working will also be punished under the provisions of UK Bribery Act. So the UK Bribery Act recognizes 4 offenses. The first one is giving an advantage or offering to give an advantage. The second one is accepting an advantage or agreeing to accept an advantage. The third one is bribery of a foreign public official. The fourth one is failure on the part of the organization to prevent bribe being paid. And these are the 4 offenses recognized by the UKBA, and this is the essence of UK Bribery Act. Now, after discussing the essence of UK Bribery Act, let's discuss the differences between UK Bribery Act and FCPA Act. Facilitation payment. The facilitation payment means those payment which has been made to a public official for expediting the routine governmental transaction, and that's what is called facilitation payment. And facilitation payment is accepted under the FCPA Act and it is prohibited under the UKBA Act. The second one is commercial bribery. The FCPA prevents the bribing of a foreign government official. It doesn't say anything about the private official, but UK Bribery Act prohibits the bribing of both public and private official. The third one is passive bribery. Accepting bribe is not a punishable offence under the FCPA. Accepting bribe is a punishable offence under the UK Bribery Act. And the scope of FCPA is narrow compared to the scope of UKBA. The UKBA scope is much wider as compared to the FCPA. And these are the 4 differences that you can quote if asked about the FCPA, about the differences between the FCPA and UK Bribery Act. Now let's move on to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Section 406 of Sarbanes-Oxley Act requires the companies to disclose whether that companies have adopted code of ethics for its senior financial officers. And if it has not adopted code of ethics, then it's required to explain the reason why it has not adopted code of ethics for its senior financial officers. And this has been specified under section 406 of Sarbanes-Oxley Act. The next topic is factors affecting ethical behavior in an organization, or in other words, what are the steps that the management can take in order to promote ethical behavior in the organization. So what all steps can the management take to promote ethical behavior? The first point is code of conduct. Code of conduct means those documents which mention the do's and don'ts in an organization. So if an employee finds it confusing, he can straight away refer to the code of conduct and identify which all are the acceptable activities in an organization and which all are the non-ethical or not acceptable activities within an organization. So code of conduct is one thing that management can have in an organization so that everyone in the organization can refer to that document and identify the ethical behavior and the non-ethical behavior. So code of conduct is an important thing that the management can have in their organization. The next is leadership by example. The management needs to resort to ethical behavior so that it sends a strong message to others, to other employees. Okay, the management is resorting to ethical behavior, so let's also resort to the ethical behavior. And this is what leadership by example means. Lead by example. So the second point is leadership by example. The third point is employee training. The employee need to be given continuous training on ethical aspects or ethical behavior. The fourth one is whistleblower mechanism. Whistleblower mechanism is the mechanism that the management can have in their organization. When an employee finds some fraud, okay, and this employee need to report this fraud. For that he needs to have some mechanism, right? So this mechanism is called a whistleblower mechanism, and this mechanism the management should have in their organization, because when someone comes across any fraud, any unethical behavior, there should be a system through which he can report this fraud to the appropriate level of management. So whistleblower mechanism is the fourth point, or the fourth measure that the management can have in their organization to promote ethical behavior. Now the next question is how the management can monitor ethical compliance. The management can monitor ethical compliance through two ways. The first one is survey tools, and the second one is human performance feedback loop. Survey tools is basically a survey done from the employees. We frame some questions regarding ethical behavior, ethical aspects, and then we give to the employees. The employees need to fill out those, and the employees' response will be carefully examined to understand whether if they have understood the ethical practices correctly and if they are following it correctly. And survey tools is one method through which the management can monitor ethical compliance in an organization. The second one is human performance feedback loop. In every organization, the employee does the work and the manager reviews the work and he provides him feedback. So this is what is literally meant by human performance feedback, and when this is done on a continuous basis, it becomes a loop, and that is called human performance feedback loop. When the manager reviews the work of this employee, he needs to review the employee's performance on the basis of ethical parameters as well. For example, if the employee has attended ethical workshop on ethical practices, like that the manager needs to review the employee's performance on ethical parameters as well. So these are the two methods through which the management can ensure ethical compliance in an organization. Moving on to the next topic, corporate social responsibility. For every organization, for every company to exist in the society, it needs to have support from the society. It needs to have resources from the society. So this organization or this company also has some responsibilities towards the society, and this is what is called corporate social responsibility. The responsibility of these companies, of this business or this organization towards the society is called corporate social responsibility, and the issues addressed by CSR or corporate social responsibility can be summarized by the name TECH. TECH, taxes, environment, corruption, and human rights. Taxes, the company needs to pay taxes correctly. E for environment, the company's operation should not harm the environment in any way possible. The third C is corruption, the company in its activities should refrain from corruption. H, human rights, the company in its operation should not violate any human rights. And these are the four issues addressed by the corporate social responsibility. And the four levels of CSR is economic responsibilities, legal responsibilities, ethical responsibilities, philanthropic responsibilities. Economic responsibilities means the first responsibility that the company should satisfy, because every company or every business has been incorporated to make some profit. First, they need to make some profit to compensate their shareholders. There will be employees working in that company. They need to pay them salary. So after satisfying these monetary responsibilities, these economic responsibilities, only then we should move on to the next responsibility, and that is legal responsibilities. If the company is not satisfying the legal responsibilities, then the laws and regulations will not allow for the company to work in that society, right? So the next step is satisfying the legal requirements. The legal responsibility is the second level of responsibility that needs to be satisfied under the responsibilities under CSR. The third is ethical responsibilities. Not only complying with legal requirements is enough. The company needs to do the right thing. If there is no law that prevents the company from dumping the waste to the environment, it doesn't mean that the company should or the company can dump the waste into the environment. Even if there is no law, if the company is ethical in its operations, then the company will not dump the waste into the environment. The company will dispose of the waste in an environment friendly way. So doing what is right is what is called ethical responsibilities. And the fourth one is, and the last responsibility is philanthropic responsibility. Philanthropic responsibility means giving back to the society. Okay, the company has gained so much, Okay, it has satisfied economic, it has satisfied legal responsibilities, it has satisfied ethical responsibilities, and the last responsibility is philanthropic responsibilities, giving back to the environment. Let's say example, free education, building old age homes. All these comes under philanthropic responsibilities, and the four responsibilities are economic, legal, ethical, and philanthropic responsibilities. And with that, we have completed the revision for ethics for organizations. We have completed the revision of business ethics, ethics for management accountants, and this session covered ethics for organizations. So the entire section F is completed. So I hope the entire section F is clear to you. In the next session, we'll be starting with a new topic. Till then, it's me Sagar signing off. Happy learning. Thank you.